A few years ago, you might have heard about mysterious clowns trying to lure people in. I wish I could say it was all just rumors, but the truth is far scarier than any story you've ever heard. I was one of the people who went through it, and the experience was absolutely terrifying. For my own safety, I want to remain anonymous. If that clown knows who I am, the last thing I need is to be found. Back then, I was 15 and living in a forgotten little town in the countryside. The town was full of empty streets, old houses, and a single gas station on the side of the road. Apparently, the station had been there since the 1950s, but it wasn't the kind of place that saw many visitors. It was, deep down, a lonely place where time seemed to have stopped. I worked at the gas station and had this old, rundown vibe with flickering lights and rusty gas pumps. The few customers who showed up, usually travelers, never stayed long. The place had a heavy atmosphere, like something was always watching. I never knew exactly what it was, but the feeling was always there. It was a Friday night. I had just finished my shift and was walking home like I did every day. The road I took was a long, empty stretch that was usually deserted. That night, the sky was clear and the full moon lit up the road, but something felt off. It felt like someone was watching me. The walk home was always quiet, but that night, something different happened. As I walked, something on the ground caught my attention. It was a strange object, dirty and damaged. When I crouched down to pick it up, I saw that it was a clown nose. It didn't look new. It was filthy, with stains and grime, like it had been lying there for days or even weeks. At the time, I thought it was weird, but figured someone had just left it there as a joke. I never imagined it could be anything more than a forgotten prop. I slipped the nose into my pocket, thinking I'd just throw it away later, and continued walking. The road felt emptier than ever, and the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Then, a little farther ahead, something even stranger happened. I saw a figure in the road. At first, I thought it was just an animal, but then I realized it was a human figure, standing completely still in the middle of the road. As I got closer, I could see what it was. It was a clown, but not just any clown. He was standing motionless, hands behind his back, wearing an old, dirty costume. His makeup was smudged, his eyes were dark and hollow, almost lifeless. I froze. I didn't know if he was there to scare me or if he wanted something from me. When I got a bit closer, the clown spoke. His voice was raspy, like he was struggling to get the words out. "You have something that's mine. I need it back." He let out a low, creepy laugh, and that's when I realized he was talking about the clown nose I found. He wasn't joking. He wasn't there for fun. He was there for me. I started back away, but he didn't move. It was like he was waiting for something, watching my every move. I didn't know what to do. When I finally managed to take a few steps back, the clown said, "If you don't give me back what's mine, then I'll take yours." He reached behind him, and that's when I saw what looked like a huge knife. The metallic sound of the blade scraping the pavement made my heart race. I didn't think twice. I ran. I ran as fast as I could. I could hear his footsteps behind me, but I didn't dare look back. I didn't want to give him the chance to catch up. His laughter and footsteps blended with the pounding of my heart, making everything feel more real and more distant at the same time. I was almost home when, suddenly, a bright light appeared on the road. It was a car. I waved frantically. The driver slammed the brakes, rolled down the window, and asked if I was okay. Still out of breath, I quickly told him what had just happened. Without hesitation, he pulled out his phone and called the police. But when I looked back, the clown was gone. There was nothing there. Silence took over everything. The road was empty. But I knew what had happened. I knew he was out there nearby and that he could come back at any moment. The police never found any trace of clown. There were no cameras on that road and no explanation for what I had experienced. I've never been able to walk alone at night again. And the worst part is, since that night, more and more people have reported seeing strange clowns in isolated places, like something much worse is happening. To this day, I don't know what that clown really wanted. All I know is, after that night, I've never looked at a clown the same way again. It was Saturday night. I had nothing to do, and my mom suggested I go to an amusement park near our house. The place was in a somewhat remote area, surrounded by trees. I grabbed a flashlight and walked the trail alone. It wasn't a long walk, but in the dark, everything feels slower and quieter than it should be. When I finally saw the colorful lights through the trees, I felt a bit relieved. The park seemed kind of empty. There was a small Ferris wheel, a mini roller coaster, old rides, and a few food and game stands. But what really caught my attention was a circus tent in the far corner of the park. I decided to take a look. I peeked inside and saw a few rows of chairs. On the tiny stage, 3 clowns were performing. One rode a tricycle, another juggled, and the third just danced from side to side with weird, almost robotic movements. It was that last one who saw me. He stopped dancing instantly and started walking toward me, his eyes wide open, a frozen smile painted on his face. He kept motioning for me to come inside, but I didn't want to go in. I just ignored him and walked away. A few minutes later, I found a friend playing a game, and I stayed with him for a while. We laughed, talked, and tried to win a stuffed bear, but the vibe of the place fell off. Like no one there was actually having fun. Eventually, the park started closing and the crowd disappeared. I said goodbye to my friend and headed back toward the trail home. I was near the fence when I heard it, PSSSD. I got really scared, but decided to look, and there he was, the same clown from before, standing still, watching me. He stepped out from behind a tree. He slowly approached and said, "Want to see what's behind the circus? There's some cool stuff the audience doesn't get to see." The word "no" came out of my mouth before he could even finish the sentence. I entered the trail. My steps were hurried, but I kept looking back. He wasn't following me. He just stood there, staring, motionless, like he was waiting for something. Once I was far enough from him, I started to run. As I got closer to home, I heard it again, PSSSD. I turned around slowly, flashlight shaking in my hand, and there he was, emerging from the darkness, eyes locked on me. He didn't say a word, just kept walking. When he got too close, I threw the flashlight at him and ran. This time, I could hear footsteps behind me. He was running too. I made it home, barely able to breathe. My mom was startled, but I just told her I'd run the whole way. I didn't want her to forbid me from going out. I never talked about it, but sometimes when I'm alone, I swear I still hear that PSSSD coming from the dark,